What's going on, guys? It's the Hunter Project here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I will be going over how I think RE4's remake may possibly be influenced by Resident Evil 8. I know this may sound a bit weird at first, but I will explain why in this video, so let's jump straight into it. One of the leaks that we've gotten for the RE4 remake is the fact that Capcom will be implementing a first-person camera, and of course this isn't 100% final, but considering the consistency of the leaks we've gotten so far for franchises across Capcom, I'm more leaning towards the side that this probably is going to be the case. And that also got me thinking that if Resident Evil 8, while being an awesome sequel to the first game of the third trilogy, maybe was also a testing grounds for the Resident Evil 4 remake. We do know that the first development stages of the RE4 remake were scrapped due to being too similar to the original, and the higher-ups really wanted something that was more fresh and new for all types of players, whether those are players that have played the original 100 times or have never played the original at all. They want there to be some kind of surprise that it differentiates it from the original playthrough, similar to how RE3 was quite different to how the original was, just so it wasn't the exact same experience, and there were a few surprises here and there and just a few things to freshen up the game. So having a first-person camera specifically would force them to reimagine a lot of the RE4 gameplay and timeline to work with this new layer of interaction, as of course there are a lot of cons and benefits, of course, depending on who's looking at it. It may be a con, it may be a benefit of how first-person will affect gameplay. Like, for example, first-person will remove the ability to check your left and right without turning your entire character. Like, you will have to face that exact way with your gun facing that way in order to look that direction, whereas in like RE4 the original, you can just flick the right stick to the right. Of course, if you're playing on mouse and keyboard, you like flick the mouse to the right. I think it works like that at least, where you can look to the right without actually facing Leon in that direction. And of course that does make the game less scarier, as you can have a bigger observation of your surroundings, whereas in first person you're not going to know if you are getting overrun by Ganados. You're not going to know where the enemies are if you're not looking in that direction, so they can easily just like sneak up on you. And this will add a lot more fear to the experience, especially considering RE4 is a good blend of action and like horror. I think this will definitely add an extra layer of horror to the game when we inevitably get overrun by Ganados, similar to how the Lycans did in Resident Evil 8. And I think Resident Evil 8 shows how many of the RE4 encounters could work in the style of RE7, which I think RE8 did a great job of achieving for what I would say most would consider successfully. And one of the best parallels that I think showcases this is the RE4 and RE8 village segments, where you get overrun by the enemy type of the game, of course both happening at the start of their respective games. And I think both of them pretty much capture the same idea of trying to just defend inside a certain confined area for as long as you can, and both of them are stopped by the ringing of a bell. And of course I definitely don't think this was unintentional. It was definitely planned to have a very similar encounter experience to how Resident Evil 4 was. Of course now the graphics are way better, it's much scarier, and the gameplay in general, just the enemy AI, much better, more improved and more stalkerish, especially how the Lycans are supposed to be. But I definitely think they can replicate a similar thing with Resident Evil 4 encounters, especially with the village segment. As I was saying, that's definitely one that I can just imagine in my head exactly how they would be doing it, as it's so similar already with how Resident Evil 8 started off. And on top of that, we also saw the return of Resident Evil 4's inventory and merchant systems within Resident Evil 8, so I wouldn't be surprised if Resident Evil 8, of course in terms of the developers, return the favour for the Resident Evil 4 remake. Of course all of this is speculation for now, but with the amount of Capcom leaks that have come to fruition in recent times across multiple franchises under Capcom, I would not be surprised if we saw a Resident Evil 8 style take on Resident Evil 4, at least to some capacity. Of course this is just one interpretation of this potential leak, so let me know down below, guys, what you think about first person cameras and whether or not you think it will benefit Resident Evil 4, as well as how it may or may not change the gameplay and possibly even the story of Resident Evil 4. As always, if you did enjoy, a like would be extremely appreciated, guys. That is the end of this video. Be sure to subscribe for a lot more Resident Evil content. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.